Hello and welcome to Middle-Aged Geeks. I'm one of your hosts, Daz, and I'm joined as always by my trusty co-host, Phil. And this week our movie review is Send Help, which is the latest film from director Sam Raimi, written by Damien Shannon and Mark Swift, and starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. So this will be a spoiler-free review, and we will go into full spoilers at the end to chat about some of the more juicy and gory moments. We'll give a brief premise first before we get stuck into it. So Rachel McAdams plays Linda, a hardworking, overlooked and socially awkward office worker who is overlooked for a promotion by her new boss, played by Dylan O'Brien. But when the company's private jet goes down in a tropical storm, Linda and her boss are forced to team up on a remote island. And the catch is that Linda is a survival superfan and has all the know-how and wits to survive in the island while he does not. And chaos ensues. So yeah, first then, Phil, what were your thoughts coming out of the cinema on this one?
I really like this one. It's really, really good. I mean, it has all the stuff I'd expect from Sam Raimi, direction wise, and it's just a lot of fun. Score's fun. It really is when it's gory. It's full on. I love that. Like, they don't shy away from it at all. It's fairly predictable. I don't think there's anybody going to be too surprised about where this movie's going. A lot of it's in the in the trailer. Based, I suppose, the trailer paints it kind of like Misery, but on a desert island, whereas there's a little bit more to that. He's not just incapacitated the whole time. Like, it's. I thought that, but I have to say, for me, like, the performances were excellent because I don't know Dylan O'Brien. We'll talk about it more when we get into it. I don't really know him from, like, he's in those Running Files or whatever they're called. What are they called? Those
Maze Runner stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Fuck. He's in that. I think he's in those movies. But so this is the first full length movie I think I've seen him in, and I love him. What did you think of this?
Yeah, same as you, man. This feels like a genuine return to form for Raimi. Like kind of an unhinged, gory, darkly comic, ticking all the boxes, survival thriller. There's so much twisted humor. It's violent. And I like the kind of psychological conflict between them. Like you said, there's so much more to it than the trailer. The dynamic of both of them kind of shifts and changes throughout the movie. I thought it was a tad bit too long in the middle, but apart from that, I think it stuck the landing. A lot of people I've seen online, some people just going, oh yeah, but what's the message at the end? Just like, fuck the message. The ending's cool. It's darkly comic. Please, Sam Raimi ending. But yeah,
I was thrown by the ending because I saw beforehand going in. I must have looked at the wrong movie listing, and I thought it said that this was going to be 2 hours 20 minutes. And when I felt like this was about to wind up at the end, I was like, oh, how are they going to stack another like 20 something minutes onto this? This doesn't make any sense. And the next thing, credits, was like, oh, right, that makes more sense.
That's fair enough. But yeah, I thought it was really like a bold, original, kind of crowd pleasing genre film. And I think it's one of Sam Raimi's best films in years, although I completely forgot that he did that Doctor Strange movie that was surrounded, which was okay, but it was surrounded in that Phase 5 Marvel shite. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. The more I've thought about it, the more I've liked it more and more. I was just like, Jesus, that was actually a nice romp. And it's one of those movies that you just urge, if people are listening to this and haven't seen it, don't wait for streaming. Catch it in the cinema, because it doesn't scream a cinema movie. But the cinema was only maybe a third full, but you could hear the laughs and chuckles and groans and gasps at it, just at the over the top madness. And it's just, a really enjoyable cinema experience. Yeah. So then let's get straight into performances. What do you think of Rachel McAdams?
Yeah, they're both brilliant. I love her. I've always been a fan of hers, and she's just fucking brilliant in this. Like, the swing isn't as much as you would think. Like, say you think of like a Selena Kyle or something in Batman, you're supposed to believe that she's this meek thing, then she fucking falls off, bangs her head, and all of a sudden she's just completely different. It's like, you can't she's all that. They granted, she is a bit of a loner kind of nutball and stuff, but then she still keeps that when he gets to the island. She doesn't suddenly become this awesome, powerful thing. She only knows all this stuff because she's addicted to Survivor. That's why she knows all this stuff. It's not because she's this outgoing, strong woman. She's not. This is where she's strong, because she's isolated on this island, and her skills can be used for once, whereas normally they wouldn't. But I loved it. I thought she was psychotic at times, like painfully funny at other times. I loved, like, in the office and stuff, and obviously she's, as you said in the intro, Daz, getting mistreated by her boss and stuff. Fucking facial expressions of her just trying to keep things under control, or the awkwardness because their colleagues are like, "The fuck is this?" Because we've all have that kind of person in the office. It's just who's trying to make the jokes and who's trying to just, you're like, "Oh God, stop talking, stop talking." We've all had that. We've all met that person, and yeah, I just thought she played it absolutely fantastically. I thought she was great. And what about you?
Yeah, I thought she was sublime. Like, it's like career best for her in my book. She was just incredible. I love that. Yeah, what you're saying there from the start. Like, within 30 seconds, the whole character dynamics are all just set up perfectly, and we only get a short time in the office. But she's totally believable because, there are times you're just going, well, she's an extraordinarily beautiful woman. But it's very believable that she is this just kind of, just, she lives with a budgie, single, kind of like she's overlooked for this promotion because she's not one of the guys and she doesn't play golf, as Dylan says at one point. But she's just totally believable. And it's just the little moments where she's, trying to meet her new boss and she just has a tuna sandwich. She's just hiding in in her drawer and she's tuna all over, and you get close-ups of stuff. And it's just terribly awkward. And yeah, it's those little moments of her trying to, she's making references about movies and stuff to people in small talk, and they're just completely, what the fuck are you talking about? She's trying so hard. It's like, it's not goofy over the top, even though I think both characters, like, they're very broad characterizations, not exactly caricatures, but they're, he's the over the top, crazy fucking old school sexist dinosaur, and she's just so awkward and such a fucking absurd kind of mess. But it's totally believable because it just sets up everything so quickly, and then it's so believable that she does, like, it makes sense that she's wants to be on this Survivor show. She's reading books and she knows all about this stuff, and she has a Survivor self-tape. It's fucking hilarious. The butt of a joke on that flight by our boss. But yeah, when she gets there, it's a very easy and believable turn into this, oh, well, I know what to do. And you see slowly she gets more beautiful just naturally on the fucking, on the island, which I thought was great. But like, yeah, her comedic timing, and she effortlessly goes from kind of quirky, funny to just this really psychotic rage. Like, the moment after she has a kind of a hunt with the wild boar, and she's like, geez, I think I like hunting. You see in her eyes, and like, fucking hell, you're
that boar hunt, that is fucking brilliant. I was cracking up. That was, my cinema was only, say, half full as well, but everybody was pissing themselves laughing at that because it's just so over the top.
It kept going.
It just kept going. Yeah, I was going to say, it just kept going and kept going. It's brilliant. It really is fun. I was laughing out loud. Like, it's so vicious.
And obviously, the counterpoint to her then is she needs someone to play opposite her and to hold her own. And yeah, I didn't know about this guy at all. Like, he has one of those faces, just kind of, I think I know you from something, like, in the background of fucking CSI or Law and Order or something like that. But he's brilliant. Like, he's a deliciously fucking hateful person. Like, you want to strangle him. You just want to smash him in the fucking face. That alpha male boss he's completely, slightly over the top in that regard watching it. But I'm sure people will have stories of people like that they get their promotions, they promote their friends and all this stuff, and she gets overlooked. And he has a lot to do as well. Like, he is, again, it's not a simple kind of, it's a misery scenario where they kind of, she nurses him back to health, and then they become friends, or what, you don't really know what's going to happen with him in terms of like scene to scene. And he has a lot to do, and he does a lot of, there's a couple of scenes where he is paralyzed and has to act like something awful is about to happen to him. The dread in his eyes, just like, you are fucking brilliant. I thought he was magnificent.
I loved his, because he had some, obviously, got a lot, Sam Raimi does a lot of close-ups, and the close up of his face when he can't properly survive for himself, and he picks up this bug and he's eating it, and it's just the range of facial expressions that he goes through when he's pulling bits out and stuff, like, and he's nearly crying and everything. It's just because it's so much. The camera's just here on him, and it's just that it was so believable and so funny. So I was pissed myself laughing. I thought he was great. And he's a lot of physical work to do, I suppose, as well. Like, obviously, you see in the trailer, he's injured and stuff, so he's got a lot of stuff to work to do, hobbling around the place. And yeah, there's some of the cuts are just fantastic. You can kind of tell, with the cinematographer and stuff is worked with Sam Raimi for ages. I think same guy who did some of the Edgar Wright movies and stuff as well. So you've got that quick switch, and interesting takes and interesting blends. And this was one where he's kind of he's in denial about whether she's going to come back and help him. And each time it comes back, you see his face just changing more and more from like, fucking, I don't need you. Yeah, you'll be back, to You coming back? Or yeah, and it just keeps, but it's just that fade, and now it's real, like an old fashioned style fade, and it's just brilliant. It's so simple, but really, really effective. No, I thought he was great. I will definitely look out to see what else. I'm not watching a runner thing, whatever it's called. What's it called again?
Maze Runner.
Maze Runner. I'm definitely not watching one of them, but I will keep an eye out for him because I was suitably impressed. And I suppose it's not a massive cast, but we should give a shout out to President Palmer himself.
Yeah. Fair play.
Yeah, it's good to see David Hayes with something like you don't see him in that much. Or I haven't seen him in that much these days, but always, so much love for him in that role in 24.
Yeah, no, fan favorite, big time. But yeah, speaking of cinematography, you were saying shot by Bill Pope, easily one of my favorite cinematographers. Did The Matrix, and after that, you're going, you can do anything you like after that. But yeah, cinematography is for the most part, it's very survival on an island kind of fare, but the island itself is kind of shot like a paradise and also kind of a prison at times as well. It's just brilliant. The camera work is kind of mostly restrained from Raimi, which I was delighted because he does get his extreme close-ups and he loves his kind of zooms in, whip pans and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of those flourishes were kind of, teased a little bit throughout, but then come to the fore kind of in the last act, which just goes full Raimi and just deliciously mad. But yeah, like in terms of like CGI at times, there's something about drone shots when they pull out. It was the same, I think, in Primate. For some reason, when you have that scale just reducing as the drone pulls out, it's like people can't seem to crack it.
I was going to ask you about that, like, because it's they've shot in some incredible locations. They've shot in Australia and Thailand and stuff. So they've got, but obviously for that walk up the cliffside, it must have been a very specific thing that they wanted. So that and some of the other shots from up high, they just look so bad. They look really like the CGI is really bad, which is such a shame because some of the CGI is fantastic. When the plane crash, when the things is fucking awesome. And so some of the CGI is great. It's just it's like that. It's those shots where they kind of pull up. You're like, fucking hell! I think Xena Warrior Princess had better CG than this. Like, I mean, it just looked weird. Like.
Which is strange because like the island looks fucking great, but it's just certain elements that are a bit spoilery, but just didn't look good. But that cliff face, I've never seen a more obvious set in my life. Just like 300 did stuff like that better, just with a few rocks and blue screen, and that was fucking 20 years ago. Other than that, cinematography, it just looked fucking great. Bill Pope is a master. What do you think about the music? I was surprised that it was Danny Elfman. I didn't know that. Normally when you hear a score, you just know if it's Danny Elfman just by the way he fucking scores his movies.
Like I wouldn't have thought it near, say, the start of it, but as it goes on, I think, you definitely get some of that because we're in, especially when we're in this kind of, yes, it's a tropical paradise, but when you're stranded there, it's not exactly paradise, and it's not for Dylan O'Brien. But it's just, there's so much whimsy to the score and stuff at times mixed in with the horror. Like, okay, now I can kind of see him coming, his vibe coming through a little bit through that. But it's not the kind of Tim Burton, Danny Elfman that people might be used to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be up there with his most memorable work. There was, like you're saying, there was a few moments where the score is very fine, but a couple of moments where you're going, I don't know if that kind of suits. I know what you're trying to do, but it's not quite working with the scene.
I actually did. I did like it. For me, kind of because it's a comedy horror. I think that's why it works so well. Straight up horror, I'm not sure I want Danny Elfman doing the score because, he can be a little bit too upbeat and fairy tale with it whereas, it works great for the likes of Evil Dead and stuff like that. And this, where you've got the comedy element to it. And I think that's why it works. But it's not, again, as you said, I don't think it's one that he'd have his full on stamp on, that people would be listen to it and go, that's, unmistakable, where you would with someone like a Hans Zimmer or... Yeah,
no, it was very true. In terms of like script and plot, I thought it kept me not so much guessing, but I didn't see the ending coming that clearly, which I thought was kind of a bonus. It did kind of sag a little bit in the middle. There's a point where they're building their second base, and it's like, okay, we can move on a little bit here. You could maybe cut 5 or 10 minutes ever so slightly out of that. Just it did kind of lag in the middle, but there's so many moments. I think the movie is perfectly paced, apart from that kind of lag in the middle, where you've got like just start strong, but then you're straight into the plane crash sequence, which we kind of briefly chatted about, is incredibly terrifying and hilarious in equal measure. It's just like, it's fucking phenomenal. You just, people have been sucked out of the plane, and then you get a joke of somebody still hanging on by their tie, smacking off the window. It's like, oh my God, bloodying the window. It's brilliant. And it's that kind of over the top characterization of those alpha male guys that makes you it's just delicious, the fact that they're being smashed around and dying in such hilarious ways. Yeah, I thought just that was a highlight. And then you've got like the boar, and it just seemed like every 5 or 10 minutes you're getting another either kind of large set piece or a very funny kind of visual gross out gag. All the way up to the end too.
Which was and I was a little bit surprised, I guess, because when I saw, like, before the movie came out, obviously when I saw the writers, I was like, they're the writers of like Baywatch and then 2 terrible, Friday the 13th movies like Freddy versus Jason or whatever. Like, they haven't done a massive amount. I was like, wow, like for something that's going to have a decent sized budget, I think of like 40 million or something with these, with this big director and big stars, I was surprised to see their name on it. But I had to say the script was solid, man. I wasn't expecting the ending. I think for the most part I was expecting it, but I thought the ending might have ended a little bit differently. I kind of had a maybe Swimming with Sharks ending kind of in my head while I was watching it. I was like, oh, well, is that where they'll go with it in the end? But yeah, like it's a solid script, and yeah, I'm it's one of the ones where I'm actually dying to go and see it again, just because to look out for certain scenes, like to really savor them. That's the thing when you go and see something like that boar scene. It's amazing at the time. It's incredible, but I want to go and just watch the fucking nuances in it, stuff in it, just when I know it's coming, and just to be able to fully savor it and take it in, because there's loads of those type scenes in this that are just so enjoyable.
Yeah, and it's just on the directing front. Then it's just from Raimi. It's just so nice to see him back in his comfort zone per se. I would imagine, where he's just, it's such an original work. It's like, it's bold, it's mad, it's him just like unhinged, just going fucking crazy, but still kind of restrained, because he's known for his kind of visual style and his kind of marrying that kind of dark comedy with horror kind of elements. But a lot of the time what's overlooked is, the most important part of directing is getting a performance out of your actors, and he's fucking nailed that. I mean, Rachel McAdams, fair enough, she is fantastic, but take somebody kind of, I guess, unknown to the masses, and Dylan O'Brien, and get a performance like that out of him. It's just kudos to him. It's just good to see him back doing genre flicks, and straight away I'm just like, he's back on the radar. I can't wait to see what he does next, because this is a triumph.
It is. I think comedy horror can be a hard one to hit sometimes. Like, people are expecting, most of the time it's kind of cheap, your Gremlins and stuff like that. But I think with something like this, you're actually getting some decent character development, some actual genuine laughs in it. Yeah, like, it's impressive. I think Drag Me to Hell, I think, is a fantastic movie. I'm not sure how well it's done rating wise, or whether it's a cult thing, but I don't think it did incredibly well. But I'm big fan of that. I just think he does it so well. Maybe Multiverse of Madness, wasn't the one for him really, because you can see the horror elements in that are incredible. Like, but I think maybe he's hamstrung by, they probably have a tick box full of stuff that you have to put in your movie to make it into, because that it fits into the MCU. But like that stuff with Scarlet Witch, when she's chasing them down, you just see her, just the red eyes glowing and stuff. That kind of side of it is just fantastic. But then you've got, for every one of them, you've got the one where they fight with the musical notes, fucking fighting.
It's
lame.
And just that movie was just the wrong time for him to dip his hand back into superhero realm.
But before we move on to that, like this movie was originally like written or announced or decided it was going to head back in 2019, and a lot of times I assume COVID must have played a big part, because of the fact that it's was being shot abroad, and how the way things were in Australia compared to elsewhere. So I don't know if, I assume that played a huge part in it. But sometimes when we see these things that are caught in, they've production wise and stuff, by the time they come out, they've had so many different rewrites and different people attached that it's ends up being just a hodgepodge and a mess. Whereas it looks like from the start, like Sam Raimi had kind of signed on from the start, so he was always going to do it with these writers. So I think that probably helped it a bit compared to maybe some of the other movies we've talked about.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point actually, and it's because it's very much a Sam Raimi movie. So if you're a fan of Sam Raimi, Jesus Christ, check this out, and try and check out it in cinemas. So will we give it a star rating then before we get stuck into some spoilers?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm ready for that.
What would you give it?
I'm going to give it a 4, solid 4. I think it's It's a really fun watch. Just under the 2 hours. I think it's an hour 53, including credits, which is just grand. It's the kind of you could probably get away with shorting it a little bit. I think when you mentioned the lag, I think you probably could cut out a little bit, but it's worth it just to soak in their performances, the two of them, and the interplay between the two of them is fantastic. It's just fun to be back in a Sam Raimi movie, and I'm pleased God his next one is something similar, because this really hit the spot for me. What about you?
Yeah, same. I was thinking like 4, maybe 4.5, but I'd say I settled at 4. It's Raimi's best film in years and driven by 2 exceptional performances. It ticks all the boxes: gore, humor, few narrative surprises here and there, and a wild boar fight sequence, or whatever you want to call it. But I think more important, like, it's slightly too long, but it's consistently entertaining. I get a smile on my face throughout and a grimace from time to time. But most importantly, I think it's an original kind of non-franchise genre film, which it's just great to fucking see. And I think it's doing okay at the box office. It's made back its budget at least already. So yeah, 4 stars from us. So check it out in cinemas if you get a chance. So now let's get into some spoilers. I don't know what more we can say about the boar hunt. Fucking just fantastic sequence. You get the plane sequence, which is great and just horrific, and you kind of know that's coming and everything. But with the boar sequence, it's because it's her first kind of attempt at, she's making huts and she's doing all this, but then when this thing, and you get a couple of little jump scares where it just tears out out of the bushes of the camera. I was like, fucking hell, front row. And then it's just glorious where she's trying to fucking stab it, and then stabbing it in the eye.
Yeah,
but
it just keeps coming at her.
Up in your face. It just keeps coming at her, and it's just like, oh, fucking Christ. Oh, I absolutely loved that. It was just fucking brilliant.
Those gory scenes for me really were fantastic. Like, there's the one where the two of them are battering the shit out of each other, and he puts his thumb, into her eye, and he is fucking right in there, and you see her eye is popping out now. It's full on gross. There's no shine away from it. It's just right there at you.
It's those beautiful little touches, because normally, in a cheaper horror movie or whatever, you just get the finger kind of going straight into the eye or whatever. But this, you can see it going into the right side of the eye and just pushing the eye over a bit. You're just like, oh, man. It's just like that. That just looks really, really, really fucking sore. But yeah, there's probably one of my favorite bits is when she does. There's the whole kind of sequence where he says, can I make you dinner or whatever tomorrow night on the beach? And she's like, cool, yeah. And he's obviously kind of sussed out that she doesn't want to leave. And that's one of the loveliest moments about it, that the characters are so kind of flawed, where it's not just black and white, where she's like, I don't want to leave yet when she sees the boat. That's all fucking great. But when he kind of poisons her and he jumps into his raft, and you're just like, oh, you silly fool. Gets smashed by the wave, comes back in on the beach, and she's like fucking gets up to try and save him, performing CPR, but because she's been poisoned, she's just puking on his face. 3 or 4 times.
4, 5.
It's just the funniest, because it's just a prolonged, it just keeps happening 4 or 5 times, and I haven't laughed at a cinema like that in quite some fucking time. That was just that whole 4 or 5 minutes, just like, this is, and the movie's just littered with loads of these cool little kind of sequences that either have you squirming or just laughing fucking belly aches. That was
I love it, because he really thinks he's getting away, and he gets over the first wave on his raft, and he fuck you, Linda, just shouts back at her, and then fucking 2 seconds later, fucking first wave hits him, and the next one, fucking brilliant. But that part where you think, as you mentioned, as she ends up doing like you need to eat, she gives him, and he ends up, it's a paralyzing agent she got from like Blue Ring Octopus or whatever. When that thing you said that he's paralyzed, so it's a lot of just facial expressions and tears and terror and fear when she's actually cutting off his nuts, and you hear the fucking squelching. And that's another thing, actually, I should have said in the main. The Foley artist on this, man, this is like one of those AMSM, whatever they're called. Some people are really into that stuff, watching someone fucking scraping soap of candles and shit like that with a knife, and people sit there and watch it and listen to it. Like, don't get that at all. But like, the Foley artist, this is unreal. The sound effects are just fucking excellent.
You can hear the knife tearing into some flesh.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, fuck, is she actually doing this? Are we going down another?
Because the blood splatters up and goes into her face, into his face, and he can't see. I said, oh, got a bleeder. I was convinced she was going to hold up his cock and balls, but
she holds up a rat, and you're kind of going, oh, that's just so fucking devious. The one part I think kind of works, but it's Sam Raimi. He could have cut it for runtime as well, as like when you have that dream sequence after she's pushed the fiance
Oh, yeah.
and the other guy off the cliff, where she has that dream sequence and she sees the kind of dead fiance again, and just with the ring, and then you get a jump scare over the shoulder. You're just like, okay, yeah, just that's great, but that's kind of Sam Raimi indulging Sam Raimi, just like that's so Evil Dead. Just go,
It's
okay,
probably the
just
only jump
reminding us
scare,
who-
isn't it?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like just to announce and remind us who directed the movie. But then the final kind of twist, where it's kind of hilarious, when she comes around the corner and you see that, like, of course, on this island in the middle of nowhere, that some billionaire's probably bought the island and he has a big giant mansion on the other side. But just gives another lovely set to have a final fucking duel, which goes on for quite some time when they go from the woods over to the mansion. But like there's a moment in the woods where she just bites a chunk out of his shoulder, and just little moments like that. You just go, this is fucking brilliant, and it spits it out. Just like, yes, please, this is fucking absolutely disgusting.
It's properly vicious, the fight between the two of them, and I think that I think that the scene with the balls is an homage, I think, to Misery, as I said, because that's the same kind of speech she gives them about what they used to do to slaves. They'd get them and they'd chop off their bits, and it made them more manageable and more docile. And it's the same speech that Kathy Bates gives to James Caan when she's hobbling. They used to hobble slaves because of that, and then she of course does do it. She fucking breaks his ankles. But again, I think, and at the end of this movie, when you've got the two of them, the same thing is it's almost the same dynamic. At the end of Misery, you've got James Caan saying, maybe we could watch Breeders together, and maybe we could, blah, blah, and just to get her on side, and then, turns the tables and attacks her, and James Caan wins. The good guy wins.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, same thing is happening, and he's like, well, we could just be together, the rest of it. And then, they have a fight, and she's the one that fucking wins. And it's just, it's not the obvious ending. The obvious ending is her getting killed in some ridiculous way.
Yeah,
maybe by another boar or something. I don't fucking know, but some way her getting. But the fact that you see her swinging the golf club, and then we're just cuts thing. It's
such a beautiful edit, actually, when she's just swinging the club at his head, and then it cuts to her playing golf as a successful, new CEO or manager or whatever she's become, and just driving a lush car down. It's like, oh, this is,
and she looks
glorious,
amazing.
Glorious. Yeah. And it's just a perfect ending to such a dark fucking comedy like this, where it's just, of course, she gets away. It's just absolutely fucking perfect.
I love that you get a look at the camera as well. She gives that kind of look. So that's brilliant.
Wink, just like, yes, please. But loved it. There's so many other moments where we'll be fucking talking all day if we get into them. Okay, so that's the end of our review for Send Help. 4 stars from both of us. Definitely check it out in cinemas. And thank you to everyone for subscribing and liking and sharing and all the bits and bobs that keep the channel going. And we'll be back next week with a new one. So take it easy.
Bye-bye.